Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a special Thursday night edition of At the Inn. I am Matt, here as always with Mike and Sebastian. Tonight we are at the Inn of Bent Reality. We are going to get into one of the year's most critically acclaimed films. This one has gotten a lot of buzz across a lot of award shows. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, there are going to be spoilers in this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have not seen Everything Everywhere All at Once and it is on your list of shit to do, pause this and come back and see us later on. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us here on Facebook in the archives, and you can catch us on the Apple Podcast app. So if you want out before you are spoiled, and trust me, we're going to pull up some weird shit about this film. You get out now. But before we do any of that, we are going to kick it off with Mike's Metal Minute. Mike, what's in the news today, buddy?
Well, what's in the news today? So, as most metalheads, rock and roll fans know, a few months ago, Pantera decided to reform their band with two original members and a couple of hired guns, as in Zakk Wylde of Black Label Society, Ozzy Osbourne, and Charlie Benante, fantastic drummer from Anthrax. So then they played some shows, I think in December, over down South America, and they had a whole bunch of shows planned in Europe this summer, and they're actually touring with Metallica in North America next year. But news came yesterday that they were actually dropped from two festivals in Germany for the lead singer Philip H. Anselmo's sort of white power hate speech from, handful of years ago. He was not in a good place, saying some shit he probably shouldn't say, and now it's all coming back and rear, and it's and well deserved. I think they should be taken off of some of these, festivals, if not all of them. I'm not watching them. I'm not going to pay money to go see them. But yeah, and then it came out this morning that he had another one in Austria. They got removed for no specific reason, but I think we can all say it was probably for exactly the same reason. And I can expect in the coming weeks that there's going to be more they're going to get dropped off of. And then on the flip side, the Foo Fighters are taking their place. So that's just amazing.
That's good. Yeah.
Having the Foos back out doing stuff again it's just such great news for me anyway. I love the Foos. Love Dave Grohl. Rest in peace, Taylor. But what do you guys think of the whole Pantera thing and them getting removed for stuff said?
Yeah. So I guess there was did he do this on the tour, or was this a video that came back?
This is from previous... solo stuff from 2015, 2016. Yeah. It was, okay, and he was. I don't think he was in a very good place.
We're going back some years because I'm going to have something to add to this, but that was my question as well. Seb, keep going.
Yeah, so he did a Nazi salute and screamed white power to the crowd is the video that I saw.
Okay.
Which is pretty disheartening because I was a big Pantera fan in the 90s. And then the rumor came out a lot of years ago that, he's a neo-Nazi supporter and whatnot. And then obviously this just came to light couple days ago. And I'm kind of torn because Zakk Wylde is the guitarist that's playing for the deceased, rest in peace, Dimebag Darrell for Pantera on the tour, and I'm a massive Zakk Wylde fan, so I'm kind of at odds whether I should support him at this point or not, because he's touring with Phil and the newly created Pantera. So this has no place in the world. I mean, I'm of Polish descent, so it kind of hits a little close to home with, Nazism and whatnot. So I'm disgusted with him. So I won't listen to Pantera or any of their music at this point. That's the way I feel. Don't mean to laugh about it, right? But it's disgusting. Like there's no place. No. Yeah. Matt, what about you?
Okay, so I got some conflict on this. You're absolutely right. There is no place for this. 100%. There's no place for it. Am I surprised it came out of Phil's mouth? Fuck no.
No, not at all.
Not if you're a fan of Pantera, if you were there in the heyday. I can remember the very first thing I said. A buddy of ours, Mark, after Law 12, Seb, you were there, had
I don't remember
given me his earbuds and he said, "Listen to this," and he started playing "Far Beyond Driving" because it had just came out.
Nice.
And I took it off my head and I looked at him and I went, I don't know what he's saying, but I don't like his tone. Now that all fun and games was, it I love Pantera. I grew to love Pantera. It is
Mhm.
one of the few bands that I really enjoy saying I got to fucking see them.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw
cool.
Pantera with White Zombie on a
Hmm.
double bill way back in the day. It was fantastic. The only time I saw them. Second only to that is when I saw Soundgarden before they broke up the first time in the late '90s.
Oh,
I think
nice.
it was in this. I think it was in the same summer. Um,
Probably.
but when you go back and look, like how many times did we sit in other Matt's basement and watch the Vulgar video? How many we sat and we watched their third home video? We sat and we watched these things. We played the music a lot,
Mhm.
and at no point did I ever think, oh, this is a very forward thinking and progressive individual writing these lyrics. No, it's
No.
he's an angry white kid from
Yeah.
Texas. And fuck, fine. That's cool. Whatever's your bag, go ahead. However, there's no place for the hate speech whatsoever.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you because I'm really not familiar with this story because I've been of a split mind with this. Charlie Benanti and Zach Wild. I haven't
Mhm.
seen them play either. Would love to see them play. I was really on the fence about this Pantera tour because it's you took the heart and the soul out of the band.
Yes.
Um, God did. God decided you boys are coming with me.
Yeah.
Um, and that's all fine and good. Um, well, to a degree, because I'd still like to see Pantera as Pantera, but it is what it is. However, if
Mhm.
they're going to substitute somebody, if I'm going to go see Phil and Rex play some Pantera tunes, I could not ask for a better set of fill-ins.
Well, and Zach is like
Like,
Dime's best friend. He's
yeah,
Yeah.
technically, he's gifted like Dime was. He can play all the songs.
yeah, he
I've
can
watched some live stuff. It's I don't know, the solos
It
aren't there, but
it's fine.
it's fine.
It's
It
fine.
sounds like Pantera. Like
see.
it's loud as fuck, and
There
it's
eh,
is a dynamic element to Dimebag's playing that is missed, and
Mhm.
because he was taken at such a young age, it's the same with Randy Rhoads. Those two could have been
Mhm.
two of the best metal guitarists in the history of
hmm
the
Yeah,
genre. I firmly believe
Well,
the way
absolutely.
hold on. I'm going to say they are two of the
they
best
are.
metal
Yeah,
guitarists.
Yeah,
However, there is much like Eddie Guerrero, like it just right before they really, really, really were able to stamp it and go
yeah,
Rushmore, bitch.
hmm
Their lives were cut short. I
yeah,
mean, with Pantera breaking up, Dime basically had to start again with Damage Plan, and he was playing much much smaller venues. And the same with Vinny over in Hell Yeah. I mean, um, at the Abbotsford Event Center on the third floor, they have concert photos nicely framed and everything, and one of them, and I've be in a former life working a job where I was in there as a contractor. I had asked repeatedly for this. It is Vinny playing the Abbotsford Event Center.
nice,
It's a close-up shot of him and his drum kits wailing away, and they got all the pyro tunnels spikes coming out of the points of
cool,
his drum, and it is the baddest fucking photo I've ever seen in my life. And
nice.
I begged for this. I would be in there 4 or 5 times a year for 5 years, and every time I'd ask the facilities guys, like, "You got anything I can just slide in there? I'll just slide the thing on." Like, you guys, nobody will
Well,
see me because
won't even see it.
I know exactly which camera to unplug. Like,
Yeah,
except the fact that I've asked for it now 15 times, I can't unplug the camera and take it.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but
That's
it's
funny.
now here's my thing. Did Phil ever apologize for any of these statements?
he
I
he
think he
said
did.
it. He said it wasn't. It was taken out of context. Like he was
That's not an
not.
Okay,
apology.
that's not an
He's not.
apology.
He
That's
says he
not an
didn't say
apology.
white power. He said something else, but I
Okay,
can't
so
remember
and
what it was.
here's the lead in that hits home with something I said last week, talking about Jay Briscoe. The reason Jay Briscoe, rest his soul, wasn't allowed on AEW TV was Time Warner had unearthed some um, homophobic tweets that he had put out in
Mhm.
about 2012 or 20, maybe about the same time, way back in the day. We're talking 5 to 10 years prior. So they wouldn't let him on TV. And what occurred to me is Jay Briscoe died on a Tuesday. On Wednesday night, AEW was in California. Had Time Warner not said Jay Briscoe's not allowed on our TV, he would have been on a fucking airplane and not on a fucking highway, and we'd still have him.
Jesus. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, but I mean, Jay apologized for his shit up and down.
Mhm.
He said he apologized. He was, he would have been in his late 20s or early 30s when he said this, still an angry young man doing violence for a living. If Phil hasn't actually flat out apologized, out of context is not an apology. Out of context is make this go away so I can
Yeah.
drink more and, go to my meeting with
Well,
my other friends.
And
he did issue an apology. So I'm just looking it up here on billboard.com, and it said Anselmo issued an apology, which he said, I was at the Dime Bash and it was extremely late at night. There was a heavy duty talk between myself and those who loved Dime, and heavy emotions were flowing. Jokes were made backstage that transpired upon the stage, and it was ugly. It was uncalled for. And anyone who knows me and my true natures know that I don't believe in any of that. I don't want it to be part of my group. I'm an individual, and I'm 1,000% apologetic to anyone that took offense to what I said, because you should have taken offense to what I said. And I'm so sorry. And I hope you just, man, give it another chance. Just give me another chance. So he is apologetic, but I mean,
and this isn't the
sounds like
first time he said dumb shit too. Like right before Dime, like months before Dime died, he said I think he said out in public that he wished Dimebag would get shot and killed. And then look what happens.
He said that, and then a fan took that to heart. Literally shot and killed Dimebag.
Yeah.
A friend of mine forwarded a podcast on that, and while I didn't like the format of the podcast, I do recall that as being this one fan who clearly needed some professional psychological help to begin with, as some people do, and just took it to heart and did something stupid.
And he was mad Pantera broke up, and he went in the club and he shot Vinny too, but he didn't kill Vinny. But
no.
Yeah, it's also we have to say also that the tour managers for those festivals, or the manager for the festivals, basically talked to the other members of the band, of not just Pantera, but the bands that were performing there. And a lot of them felt uncomfortable with Pantera, specifically Phil, being there. So they decided to remove them. So from the article that I read earlier.
And these are European festivals too, as well.
Germany. Yeah. So whole hate speech, white power stuff is not cool.
They can be quite sensitive to that. There are other countries out there that aren't as sensitive. I know there was I don't remember. I was watching a documentary series with my wife. I can't remember what it was on, but and I don't want to speak bad of this country because they are currently getting their ass handed to them by an invading foreign power. But there was a big movement that was pro that kind of speech in that country. And that was used as a very flimsy excuse early on in the unnecessary aggression, but it was a flimsy excuse, and there are countries that will harbor that. I mean, let's be honest with you. We got a country walking distance from my front door that does seem to harbor large pockets of that in the last 4 or 5 years, that have thought they could come out of the woodwork and not feel the pressure of it. Now, I have lots of friends in that country and they aren't like that, but it does definitely seem like a country that large does harbor those pockets, and it is uncool in this day and age. You can't do that. Everybody deserves the right to, be who they are. Love outs thou will. Don't hate on anybody for anything they can't control. I mean, we can turn around and hate on, whoever we want for saying hate speech like that. I'm not going to single Phil out because he did issue an apology and we read it. But, if somebody's going to spew that out or spew something homophobic or, anti-rainbow flag and whatever color on that rainbow you happen to be, and I have people in my household that are on that flag. I have people close to me that are on that flag. I'm going to hate on you for that. Nobody's going to fault me for it.
No.
But that you don't get to do that anymore. That's not where we're at.
It's the old thing your parents would tell you. If you got nothing good to say, don't fucking say it at all. Like if you have
Hmm.
nothing, yeah, right. Like if okay, why hate on anybody? I don't know. I just don't see the point in hating on anybody. It just doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah, I mean, apology or not, it's going to take a while for this to blow over for
Hmm.
Phil and Pantera, and best of luck to Phil and Rex and everybody involved that is getting paid to be there. Because let's be honest with you, it's not just the four guys in the band that are paying the
It's
price.
no,
There are managers, there are roadies, there are
Yeah.
truck
hmm
drivers, there are
yeah,
venues that are all going to pay the price for this.
hmm
I am sure these festivals are going to, be issuing refunds because the Foo Fighters and Pantera don't necessarily have the exact same audience.
no,
So sure, you can refund all the people that came to see Pantera that want their money back, and you will sell all the tickets to the people that are like, oh, the Foo Fighters are coming, I'm
yeah,
fucking in now,
yeah,
and which is great.
Yeah.
But there are still people that are going to suffer for this. There are
yeah,
people that have now lost a job because the band they're supposed to be helping is not coming.
hmm
Right now, hopefully they can get on with another band or the rest of the festival or whatnot. But the reality is that there's a lot of these roadies, and especially the truck drivers and the tour staff that are like, well, I'm out of a job now.
hmm Well, and
So,
Yeah.
even like the guitar tech for Zach was Dimebag's guitar tech from back in the day. And that's going back
mhm.
18 years ago when he passed, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what he's been doing for the last 18. I'm assuming he's probably working with other bands, but that's like you say, a lot of people are going to be out of work because of this. And that leads me to say, okay, so Metallica has them on half of their North American tour. What do they do? Because
They
they're all,
replace them with another band,
Replace
maybe
them.
yeah,
Gojira or Avenged Sevenfold, which
Foo
I think is
Fighters,
already could be.
Metallica, and
Nah,
Foo Fighters double bill. What could go wrong?
they'll find a band. There'll be 100 bands lining up to
Oh
tour with
yeah,
oh, hell yeah,
Metallica for sure. I don't think that's
yeah.
too.
oh yeah.
But you'll
I don't
think
think they're
you
worried.
think they'll end up saying, you know what, sorry guys, this is all getting ugly and we don't want any part of this.
They might.
Oh, can
I
you?
can't
Right?
see them. I would lean more to that course of
Yeah,
action than keeping them on the tour. But I
yeah,
guess it all depends on what happens in the next couple of weeks, right?
yeah.
So with
I
him,
think if more festivals say, you know what, their whole summer shot of the European circuit, well, then
yeah,
I think their hand will be forced and they'll have to, no matter what, whether they want to or not, they'll have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the only way I think he can repair this is to literally do charity work in that
Yes.
anti-racism field
Yes.
to
It's still
Absolutely.
gonna
prove that
take.
he's
It's still gonna take him years. I mean,
yeah.
it's done and it's over, and especially for
You
whatever
can't
other band
get on
he.
a stage and do a Nazi salute
No.
when you're an icon of that size and yell white power
No.
over at the end of your set. Like that's
And
just
Not a stage.
especially
what do you
and
think's
Not a
gonna
stage of
happen?
that
yeah.
size. If you are in a very specific bar with a
Yeah.
very specific clientele, and we're talking super small venues, because though those are out there,
Yeah.
hmm
as much as there are the Gabby's country cabarets for the country musicians, there are bands for those. There are places and venues
Yeah.
for those kind of bands, but you are not
Yeah.
going to be able to get up in front of 20,000 to 100,000 people at a festival or in an arena and pull that nonsense
No.
at all.
And
Like,
even given the way he looks, the shaved head, the sort of
oh,
I call him
he's
that sort of aesthetic of what you would think someone that talks like that looks like.
he's
Not
wearing the uniform.
exactly. He's
He's
wearing the
wearing the
uni.
uniform. Now,
Absolutely. And
not the literal uniform, but he
no.
is that stereotype.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Like,
Exactly. And it's I don't know. And then but where does Pantera go from here? Okay, so what are they gonna do after this tour? What are they gonna tour more and just drain the well dry, or they're not gonna make a
Well,
record or
I
nothing? Like
think
it's
Zach's okay. I think Zach
well,
Well,
will
Zach's
leave
got
and
enough.
just
He's got enough hands in other cookie jars. He's
yeah.
fine. Same with
He's
Charlie.
got
Black
his
He's
own
Label.
totally
band.
fine.
Black Label was in Vancouver last weekend. A buddy at work, we went to the
Yeah.
Black Label
We missed him, Seb.
Anthrax
That's the
show.
first time in forever we missed him.
Couldn't wait
I
to
see.
tell me about it on Monday morning, and I went, "Damn it!
They
I
were
knew there was
they
something
were they
this
were
weekend."
here with Anthrax, I believe.
And Exodus. But
Yeah.
Charlie wasn't there. Charlie was sick or something. They had to get a different drummer. But
Yeah, it is what it is, anyways.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
like,
do we want to move on?
yeah, let's move on from this. I mean, best of luck to everybody that got screwed over on this, and Phil, lay low for
And his
five
undoing
five
again is his
five to
big mouth. He
15
just
years.
doesn't know when to shut the hell up. And that's just you got
Yep.
to reap what you sow, right?
Yep, and like, best of luck to everybody involved,
Yeah.
especially those that are just going. He said what? and are now going, cool, I guess I need to go down to the Home Depot and apply for a job.
Yeah, right.
Um, so yeah, anyways, let's so
That's a long metal minute.
yeah, that was a
Uh,
hell of a minute. So
we have some.
everything,
Well, hold on, just we
everywhere.
have some
Okay.
sports talk for like 2 minutes.
Okay, go for it.
Um,
What do you got?
Let's do it.
the Vancouver
Football.
Canucks fired their coach Bruce
Yes.
Boudreau in a despicable way because he knew he was being fired and he still had to show up and coach the team. And the fans knew he was getting fired. So they gave him
It
a
got
standing
leaked. Yeah.
ovation at the end of I think it was on Saturday night, and he was getting
Yeah.
fired on Sunday morning. But what a class act Bruce Boudreau is to show up and coach these kids. I
Sure.
mean, why like a lesser human would have just been, you know what, I'm getting fired anyways. I'm out. Like,
Yep.
go find yourself a coach now. But it was leaked that they were signing Rick Tocchet as the coach of the new coach of the Vancouver Canucks. But how do you? I know you have to search for a coach before you fire the
Well,
new
you
one,
have to
but
have one chosen, right? You don't really have a choice.
but what
at
are
that
you
point.
thinking, right? Like, and this
You
just
keep
goes
that
to the
to the best. You
disaster
don't,
of the
yeah, you
Vancouver
don't say a
Canucks.
word.
Yeah, this is the disaster of the Vancouver Canucks over the last couple of years, and a lot of the Vancouver
Whoa,
fans of the
hold
Canucks
on. I'm calling a timeout
Nope.
on that one. The Canucks have been a disaster for longer than a couple of years.
for 10 years at least, since
Uh,
2011.
you might no keep up that digit. Like
Well, they had, yeah.
they've been a goddamn disaster since like
Okay,
inception.
Well, I
They
I
had
think
will,
just
2 good
the
years,
current
and we
ownership
still
group,
burned the
they've been
city
a
down.
disaster.
I will give you my take on the ownership real quick,
Sure.
and
Go for it.
this is the way I feel. They lost the fan base when the Aquilini's bought the Vancouver Canucks because
Hmm.
prior to them, it was owned by the Griffiths family, and the
Mhm.
Griffiths family was a huge into community and into the people. They were like a people's owner,
Yeah,
right?
they were.
The community loved them, right? And the Aquilini's came in with shady dealings, how they screwed another group out of buying the Canucks and went behind them and bought them. But he gets his talents into all the decisions for sure. It's been proven time and time again. He's an
Mhm.
owner that gets in there and tries to make the decisions with the management. When Trevor Linden, one of the classiest hockey players on the planet, leaves your club because he doesn't like the way management is, what does that
Yeah.
say about the club?
Right.
Right. So for me, I lost my last kick of being a real fan was in 2011 when they lost to Boston in Game 7 of the Stanley
Did you
Cup
go
final.
riot with everybody else?
No, I was actually in White Rock watching it because I made that mistake in '94.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, I'm not
We all
going
did.
down there, regardless what happens.
Yeah,
It's going to be a
absolutely.
riot. But
Yeah.
it's just for me until it's the same thing that Man United fans are facing right now. With they hate their owners,
Mhm.
and a lot like the general consensus that I get on Facebook in the community, at the pub, everywhere is that people just are fed up with the ownership of the Vancouver Canucks. It's got to change, and changing the coach, changing the players, that's not going to do anything until you change the ownership of the group. So
Well, you wait till the trade deadline. You're going to see a lot of new faces in that building.
I'm pretty sure Bo Horvat's out of the way.
Probably best. Well, they just
Yeah.
re-signed Kuzmenko.
Yeah, a lot of people thought he was going to, but
He was trade bait. That's all they had for trade bait, really.
Bo Horvat, I think he's
Horvat.
gone in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, totally.
But yeah, so I mean, and the Canucks won their first game on Tuesday with the new coach 5-2.
Well, they followed it up really well last night.
Yeah, I mean, it was against Chicago, but
Yeah, and then the Kraken.
Yeah,
laid
I don't even know
the smack down on them last night. So
yeah, so they're
You know
they're 2-0, I guess now, right? With the new coach.
well, they're 1-1.
Oh, never mind. It was
It
6-1
was
last night.
6-1. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
terrible, man.
Okay,
So
well,
I have access to a really reliable hockey insider, and I've only recently discovered how reliable. And I'm not going to discuss
You're a
that
man
on
of
the air.
many. Your tendrils are
Oh,
everywhere.
you know what? It's
give us
it,
the goose.
well,
Give
no,
us the
it's my
deets.
dad. It's my dad.
Oh.
And you guys have met him, so you know his career. But what I've just discovered in the last couple of years is how far-reaching his influence has actually been. And I mentioned this in a group chat briefly because I've been absolutely flabbergasted because he's kayfabe me, to use a wrestling term. He has completely kayfabe me on a lot of people that phone him for advice that aren't players,
Really?
that are
Okay.
above that kind of level. and outside of it and in good position. So maybe one day we can convince him to come on and have an in-depth hockey discussion.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to give Rick Tocchet this. Did you hear his reaction from the fans when he came out for that first game?
No,
No.
I wasn't able to watch
He
it on
got
Tuesday.
booed. He got booed out of
Yeah,
the building
of
like I had
course.
only
Yeah.
seen when Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker. It was a constant, disgusting boo.
Oh,
And his
jeez.
reaction to the media afterwards, when they asked him about it, he says, "You didn't know my middle name was Lou?"
Mm,
Like he's
nice.
like,
Well, he
you
he
know what?
had to know, right? Like
No, he
you're not
absolutely
coming
did.
into a
And
very
let's
good situation.
this isn't let's be clear here. The decisions being made, Talkett wasn't in on anything other than you're gonna pay me how much to show up and do what? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You know what? If any of us got offered a job for that much money, it'd be like, when do I start? It's like, well, hold on, we got to get the
And
media guy on
Boudreaux's
the
still
guy.
being paid, I think, for the rest of this
Oh
year
yeah,
and
no,
next.
he's
So like,
he's making like two
I
point seven
Yeah,
understand,
five
like,
million.
yeah.
the
So
Canucks did it in a weird way
yeah,
too
Oh, they
because
no,
they
it was
well
a bullshit way, and in Vancouver, that seems to be the way of things because we'll just show up
even
and fire a
before
radio station.
Boudreau was fired, when he got hired, Aquilini hired the coach
Hmm.
when they
yeah.
cleaned house with Travis Green and the other upper management.
They
So they
kind of
hired the
did
coach
the
first
same
before
way,
they
right?
yeah, they hired the coach first, Bruce
Hmm.
Boudreau, before they hired the GM and assistant GM. So when
Hmm.
they brought them on, I mean, he was on a short lease anyways.
Yeah.
But usually you're like Jim Rutherford, who's director of hockey operations, I believe, and Patrick Alvin, I think is his name Alvin, which is
Elvine,
the
I think,
GM.
or whatever.
Alvin,
Yeah.
yeah, is they were brought on afterwards. So they want to get rid of Bruce, obviously, because they're bringing in their own guys that they
Because
connect
their
with, right?
guys talk it, right? Because the Pittsburgh
Yes.
connection,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So it makes sense. It's just unfortunate how it was because
Hmm.
Bruce Boudreau he's a guy that like really cares about his players.
Oh,
He's that
absolutely.
type of
You could
coach.
see
Yeah.
it all written all over his face. He'd be an
Yeah.
amazing guy to play for in any sport. Have a coach like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel bad for Rick Tocchet. I don't think it's right to boo the coach. The new coach
It's
has
not
nothing
his
to do
fault.
with the way
No,
it was handled. He was
no.
just saying you're coming in to replace Bruce Boudreau. It's just the way that upper management dealt with the whole thing.
But this is
Right.
the
So
Vancouver fan
And
market, so it's
I
it's hard being a fan these days, man. It really is.
I
yeah.
don't think it was really handled any differently than any other mid-season change I've ever heard of. I think the
Yeah, but they
problem
made
with
it
well,
public
hold on,
beforehand. Okay.
I'm not done yet. The problem is it got out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
whether it was leaked or press released or whatever, the standard practice of the industry got out, and that standard practice is hot garbage.
Yeah.
This is coming from a kid that grew up with a dad in that position, both as management owning a team and the coach subject to the management.
Yeah.
It is a hot garbage way of dealing with it. It is fire the coach because it is the cheapest way to deal
Yes.
with a problematic team,
Hmm.
especially when you're dealing with now I'm gonna move this over to Ted Lasso. Okay. Bruce
Great show.
Boudreau might have been a Ted Lasso where he's a great coach. The problem with Ted Lasso's team was the star player.
Yeah.
He was overpriced and they didn't want to move
Yeah.
him until
Don't
it
ruin
was
season 2 for me though.
sabotaged. I've only just started it. I'll be watching it this week. It's periodically. However,
Yeah.
it is one of those things where it's too expensive to get rid of the star player,
Yeah.
no matter how problematic he is.
Hmm.
It is easier to replace the coach. It is
The coach is
cheaper
usually
to
the
replace.
first fall
It
guy
is
He's
too.
always the fall
cheaper
guy.
to replace the
Yeah.
coach, especially at the end of a losing season.
But this
Coach
situation is
takes the
weird
hit.
because Horton, whoever the problem child is, let's say it's Horvat, he's all but gone either in a couple of weeks or the end of the season. If they don't trade him, they're stupid. But
I can't see him being on the team next year. If they
no,
re-sign
he's a
him,
free.
that's
He already
something
said
else.
no to whatever they offered him, and he's like, no, I'm not. I want more.
Yeah,
than you."
but there's a new coach now, so you don't know what the conversations he's had between the players and
No,
the
I mean
coach. So
Maybe.
and it could just be between a player and a coach. I don't fucking
yeah,
like you, and I don't fucking like you either,
Yeah.
right? It's like I'm not going to play for you. Well, guess what? One of them's not there anymore, so
Yeah.
they might have now one player on the team that gets along with the new coach, but how many other players on the team get along with the new coach? Like, is it the same, or
Yeah.
have you just traded? Oh, we have a better one-on-one relationship, but we got 24 other guys in the locker room that fucking hate the new guy's guts.
But if you make the star happy, everybody's happy, right?
No,
On the
it
sort of on
causes
the
you.
periphery of everything, yeah.
Yeah, it
Well, yeah,
depends.
well,
Yeah.
that is what the media wants you to believe. That is
Yes.
what management and ownership wants you to believe. But what you end up with is a fucking mutiny, and more players are gonna be like, no, get me the fuck out of here. Trade me for a
Yeah.
bag of pucks to the worst team in the league. Send me to Phoenix. Send me to Miami.
Nobody wants. Everyone wants
Send
to
me
go to
to
Phoenix because it's
Carolina.
nice.
Why go to Phoenix?
Send
Come
me
on, man.
anywhere.
Well, you're never going to win a Stanley Cup in Phoenix,
Your
but you're
building
going to
has
have a
no
good time.
building's
You're going to
not
have a
big
good
enough for
time
any
living there.
fans, and no one goes. It's
All
pretty
right.
great.
We're 30
But
minutes
I
into
have
this.
to ask one serious question about the
Yeah,
Canucks.
okay,
though.
go.
Okay.
I noticed the other night they had the skate, the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s uniform on.
Yes.
Is that a temporary thing, or is it like, hey, we love you, Vancouver, we're listening to the fans, and we're going to go back to that on the more regular and maybe get rid of the stupid current logo they have?
I think he's trying to win the fans back, the owner.
You think?
It's 100%. It's an occasional publicity stunt thing. It's
Yeah.
cool. I mean,
They should be wearing it all the time.
It's the best
hey,
logo they had.
I'm a wrestling fan, so my guys change their tights all the time. I'm all for the change up, but
But do they wash their
this
tights
is-
all the time?
This
That is
is
the question.
not
They
not
don't.
Vader.
No.
Anyways, that's a different conversation. It's a publicity stunt, 100%. The same
totally.
as the one-off Lunar New Year jerseys with the red with the rabbit on them.
Mhm.
It's 100%
Yeah.
pandering to the fans, and in the
Yeah.
case, especially in the case of this Lunar New Year one, because apparently they're expensive as fuck.
Oh yeah.
It's a cash grab. It's a
Yep.
it's marketing. It's like and this goes, the reason that wrestling figures come out, you can get 15 of the same guy, is because they changed their tights. So, oh, I got Rob Van Dam with the yin yang on his chest, but I want him with the dragon tights too. I got
Yeah,
Jericho
I heard
with the
today
skinny
the
pants.
I heard today The Rock bought the WWE. WWE did
He
it.
did not buy the WWE, but his name has come up as a contender.
I don't think he has the money for it.
The fuck he doesn't.
He
He's
does.
like $4 or
He could
$5
get a
million.
couple of his
doesn't- yeah,
friends, and they'd be no problem.
It'll be a conglomerate the same way he bought the XFL.
I'd like to see that.
He'll talk to. You know what? I mean, it'll probably go over because The Rock won't touch it. The Rock will just go, okay,
Do your thing.
you're out, you're out, you're out. Bring Stephanie back. You and you don't change your jobs.
Yeah.
Make me money, and
Did-
they'll be off and running.
Did you listen to the Nick Khan interview with Bill Simmons?
I did not.
You
I
should.
don't like Nick Khan. I think he's a piece of shit.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that kills that.
Well,
Never
you know,
mind.
to the
Moving on.
movie.
If you're recommending it, I will look it
It
up.
was a good listen, and he talked very highly of Stephanie and Triple H.
Yeah, he would. I mean, they've done fantastic
Yeah.
things with it. However,
It was for a guy that doesn't know shit really about wrestling, especially the inside. I enjoyed it.
He came from something outside. I want to say a soft drink company, but I think I'm wrong.
Something to that
I think-
effect
I
of
think
some kind of
he
snacky
came
thing.
from.
Was
he
it Coca-Cola?
Came from maybe I don't want to throw it out there just yet because I don't have enough hands to Google it. But yeah, The Rock is. I actually had one of my coworkers bring it up. It's like, "This is The Rock." I'm like, "It ain't sold yet."
The Rock and Sock.
Now, granted,
they'll buy it.
I have been doing my absolute best to block all wrestling social media from my phone for the last 2 days because I'm going to be missing 2 big time events while I'm on vacation, and I don't want the Rumble spoiled. FYI,
Just disregard what my cat is doing behind me.
Hell yeah.
absolutely not. Good for you,
Thanks
buddy.
For those of you that are listening,
Cat's
my cat is
grooming
cleaning
his,
her vagina
Just hey,
behind
Grooming
me
his
on the
penis.
camera.
if we were that flexible, it wouldn't be a
Nice.
thing. Anyways,
Dare to-
guys,
dare to
we're
dream.
almost 35 minutes into
Let's
this, and we haven't even
go.
got to the meat of it. So let's get
All
into
right.
this. So, I believe Sebastian came up with this one. Is that correct? I didn't.
Well, we all wanted to watch it anyways because none
We
of
all
us had
wanted to,
seen it.
yeah.
We
It's
did.
like
This
we
was
talked
this
about
one
the
was
idea as a group, and then Seth brought up the movie, and it was,
Yeah.
It was
like, yeah,
Mike's
none of us.
idea to do a movie, and I
It was
just threw it
our
in the group
idea.
chat, and
okay.
then
Yeah.
So I'm gonna credit this to everybody but me. Yes, I've been looking at this one, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just a
Mhm.
tremendous buzz going on. The Golden
Mhm.
Globes just happened.
Yes.
We'll get into
Oscar
that
noms just
awards
came out.
list.
They got nominated for like
Yeah,
9. I think it was 9
we'll
Oscars
get
they got
in.
nominated for.
We'll get into the awards because I do have a list pulled up of that to get into. So we
Oh,
sat
good.
down. We decided after our show Saturday, this is what we were going to do. Again, at 35 minutes in, at this point, I'm hoping you've actually taken my advice and put us on pause. You're listening to us, down the road.
gave you plenty of warning.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. The very first thing that jumped out about me, this is Short Round's back, baby.
Fuck, you know what?
I forgot it was him until like an hour into the movie.
Oh, really?
Oh,
And then I just remembered
that's
Matt saying Short Round is
Yeah.
back. And I was like,
the
oh
the
yeah, that's Short
the,
Round.
the
Did you guys watch his speech at the Golden Globes?
No,
yes.
I didn't.
Oh,
listen
it
to
was, it made your eyes well up. It was a beautiful speech, and how grateful he is for this opportunity, because he, after the Goonies, he really didn't do, he was
dropped
kind of
out.
almost like blacklisted
Yeah,
from the way he was talking. And for
yeah,
him
he
to come
was.
back and do this and be that good,
Yeah.
like, oh, fuck.
He got subjected to that thing in Hollywood where he's a child actor, which is a
Yep.
problem. He
Mhm.
probably wasn't putting out, which is also a problem for everybody,
Yeah.
not the child, because
Yeah.
Hollywood's fucking gross.
Yes.
And he wasn't. I'm just gonna say it flat out. He wasn't a white kid, and that was a problem in that day and
He wasn't
age.
a rich
Like,
white kid, right? It
yeah,
just was,
that
yeah.
was yeah, and it's so he found himself out of work after Goonies. I mean, he
Mhm.
came in hot. It was Goonies, it was Indiana Jones. Like, you could not ask for a better start, and then he vanished just like that.
Vanished. Yeah.
And now he is back, and I'm like, okay, so he came back and he did a decent performance. How good could it be? I didn't fully understand what was going on in the movie
I
Good,
don't
me
think
either.
you're
until I
supposed to.
watched it.
Yeah.
So, like, I had heard,
Yeah.
okay, it's about this, and it's like, oh, he gets there's, and they keep saying, oh, this man discovers he has superpowers to save the world. I'm like, that's not what the fucking movie is.
No.
You don't fully realize what the movie is until the last 15 or 20 minutes,
It's a
and
family
then
drama. It's about family
Absolutely.
connections.
Yeah.
it's not a family drama.
It is a family drama.
No, wait, it's
Well,
not. It's more specific than that. It's a mother-daughter
Yeah.
conflict
Yes.
resolution.
Yeah.
well,
It's
yeah, and
not.
then the
It's
husband as
even
well too.
well. He's a center point for so much of the movie, and then you realize he's just the wick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just he's not,
He kind of gets
and
pushed
he's
more and
the
more into the
wick.
background as the movie went on, and then it
Exactly.
became more about the mom and the daughter.
And with the construction of it, he has to play so many different versions of the same character. I can only liken it to what was it,
Split.
Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser,
Never
or
saw it.
Split. Split's a good one as well, where it's in Bedazzled, Brendan
Yeah.
Fraser gets like 6 or 8 wishes if you have the DVD where he becomes a rock star in a deleted scene, where he is 8 different versions of the same character, and they're
Okay.
very,
Elizabeth
very
Hurley
different.
playing the devil. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or as Seb was saying, Split,
Yeah.
where it's multiple personalities from the same guy, and they're
Mhm.
very, very different. And this guy is doing it. Split is probably even closer, because with Bedazzled he has a whole different scene set up. With Split, it's instantaneous,
It's instant. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's a
some of
lot like
his
this movie.
phasing in and out, like especially when they were in the elevator or the janitor's closet, like he just snaps in and out through like that
The
whole
elevator was awesome.
yeah.
It was, the
So,
umbrella pops up,
yeah.
you're like, wow, what the hell's going on? It's like, holy shit, he's somebody else.
Can we just say that Jamie Lee Curtis just knocked it out of
amazing.
the park with her
Oh, fuck.
performance?
She's
She's
so awesome.
so good in it.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to
It's like the anti Jamie Lee Curtis role
Yeah.
too, because she's always usually kind of like on the ass kicker side of things.
Yeah.
And
And
this
hot.
she was so not. It was awesome.
Yeah. So let me dial us back for a second. So for those of us that are just sort of decided to avoid the spoiler warning, the movie starts out. It's a laundromat. We have a husband and a wife running a laundromat. They don't seem to be super lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
We definitely find out that they're not pretty early on. it's sort of day to day. It's the normal. I mean, husband and wife couple bullshit. You've been together for a while. You're running a business. One has this job. One has this job.
Mhm.
Everybody's stressed. I had to the copy I was watching. I had to actually turn on the subtitles because that was the only way I could understand. Like they didn't have subtitles on the version I was watching
Oh,
until I
really?
turned them on.
Oh,
So I didn't.
Oh,
They and
really?
they flow seamlessly between
English and Mandarin or
and
Mandarin.
Mandarin.
Thank you.
Cantonese or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
It's Mandarin.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was Mandarin or Cantonese. I'll take either one.
Yeah.
English and not English, just to not be that guy. Please don't fill me.
Cancel him.
That sounded
No, don't cancel him.
Just kidding.
We need him.
I'm taking you with me, dude.
Yeah, we're all going
And
down.
so we go through that, and then there is I was really glad that I was taking notes for this, because if I wasn't, I would have been distracted by something, and I would have missed the very first video flicker where all of a sudden,
Short round does all
Wayman,
sorts of
short round,
Yeah.
Wayman.
We're
There's
just
a
gonna call him
flicker on the
short round.
Yeah, okay, we'll
We
call
call him
short
Data. We
round.
always call him Data from the
Data.
Goonies. At least that's
Okay,
the
yeah,
next
I like
level.
short round better.
That sounds a little better for a bunch of blue-eyed white guys. So Data, you see him on a video camera talking to a regular customer, and he turns into full-on Jackie Chan, where all of a sudden
Yeah.
he's leaping over things, and there's another flicker, and he's back, and then they're just talking about dance moves, and you're like, what?
The hell's
Like,
going
if you
on?
weren't paying attention, you'd have missed it. If I hadn't been deliberately taking notes, I'd have missed it. Now they're in trouble with the IRS for some tax things, I guess.
She writes everything off.
He writes everything off, and
Well,
She's
she's
taking a
karaoke
dance
machine-
class,
karaoke machine and the
She's a
laundromat,
singer.
important.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
could have
Everything's-
told her how to write that off properly, but we'll talk later. At any rate, so they end up in the IRS office talking about this, and there's a semi-estranged daughter. This is a very matriarchal household. Mom's in charge. That's what's up. Her
She's the
elderly
alpha, right?
father is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
She's the alpha. She's the helicopter mom. The daughter is born in America, very Americanized, has a girlfriend, has her own life, does not seem to be as on board with the culture, doesn't speak that great Cantonese or Mandarin, whatever it is. And, it's not a good situation for any couple. So anyways, they're in this trouble. They go to the IRS. It took me a good 30 seconds to realize it was Jamie Lee Curtis they were talking to.
Yeah, she definitely.
Her character design is very not Jamie Lee Curtis.
She definitely looks like someone that has won Auditor of the Year award multiple times.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Okay, now before we get into that, I'm going to read you my very first two notes of this.
Okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis, ? Wow, surprise face. Unattractive IRS lady?
I know, right? It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Second note. The awards are butt plugs.
Yeah, we'll get into those later.
Yeah, I did notice that.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that award when she tapped it. I'm just like, that looks like a butt plug.
That's that. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
And the grandpa was in one of the greatest 80s movies of all time.
he
Seth,
was
can
in a
you
lot of
guess?
them, but yes,
Big Trouble in
absolutely.
Little China.
Yes,
Yeah, he was
the-
Lopan in Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
He was that.
He was the main bad guy, right? That was Lopan,
if they
wasn't
needed
it?
If they needed an Asian dude in anything, he was the guy they
He was
got.
the guy.
Unless they needed a jacked Asian dude, and then they got Bolo Young.
Yeah.
Or if they needed like an
Blood
Asian
sport.
dude that just looked
John
mean,
Lee,
they would get
John
that.
Lee. Sorry.
They would get that Asian guy from Lethal Weapon and
Yeah.
Die Hard with the skullet and the mustache.
Yeah, and eating a Snickers
You know
bar
what
and Die
I'm
Hard.
talking-
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the one.
I know the one.
So like they were in there as the three, and he's in there. He was like, I thought
He's
he was
awesome.
a throwaway character. Was not.
No, hell no, he wasn't.
I will say this though, like the very first thing that I noticed, which it just magnifies throughout the movie because it gets more extreme, is a lot of the camera angles and camera work were phenomenal.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like how
I
it
noticed
pans
that too.
in and like when they split. So in a nutshell, it's a multiverse movie where
Mhm.
the main character starts to become aware, so to speak, that she can access different versions of herself. And when they do those like glass splits where you see like that's tricky to film. because you have to like
Absolutely.
layer a film on top of a film on top of a film, right? Because
Mhm.
there's just images of her reacting differently. So, um, yeah, so it's such a unique film. I think the way it was filmed.
Yes.
Um,
Even the fight scenes,
yeah,
very creative.
yeah,
We'll get into the nuance of some of the fight scenes, I'm sure.
yeah,
But like even with the first big one with the fanny pack, who thinks that, okay, I'm going to beat up like 5
yeah.
guys with a fanny
Oh,
pack?
that
Like,
was
that's
so
so cool,
awesome.
man.
The fanny pack nunchuck.
Yeah, and stuffing rocks in it and
Yeah.
smacking. Yeah, that's awesome.
Now,
Yeah,
while we're talking about this, so it, ooh, the way they do the dimensional hopping is a
yeah,
little weird. You have to have a trigger of some sort, and it's a
Mhm.
weird ass thing. So I'm
well,
sitting there, it's
it's
like, why is he eating a chapstick?
yeah.
Why is
Yeah.
he chewing on gum from under the thing? Why
Well,
does she have to put her shoes on the wrong feet?
yeah, or why is she
And they
drinking that
do.
big thing of pop or
It's a it's
whatever?
a it's a butterfly effect thing. So it's like it's meant to signify that a small decision, um, I'm gonna bite off a piece of
It's
chapstick and eat it will alter your course to another
Yeah.
universe
Yeah,
and
it,
open
it
up a
brings
whole
you
doors.
closer to the
Yeah,
character the alternate version of yourself you're
yeah,
trying to tap into. Now, I found it a lot like The Matrix.
I was just going to say there's a lot of Matrix sort of inspiration in this
Hmm.
movie, and
It's
I
like,
thought
I
that's
need this
great.
information. So, now there's a team in, like, I guess they call it the alpha dimension,
Yeah.
that
the
figures out
Alphaverse. Yeah,
which version of you has these skills you need.
yeah,
And here's the thing you have to do that puts you, I guess, in alignment,
Mhm.
dimensionally with
So you
them.
can
And
port to
so
you
that
can
and
tap
grab
into
that
that
yeah,
info.
verse.
so
Yeah.
you can
Yeah,
tap into it. And but they do a really good job. Now, it's really confusing, but I like the fact that they're just like, yeah, why is he chewing the gum from under the table?
yeah,
Why is she putting her shoes on? They don't tell you right away. They
No.
go through. I mean, I've just named 3 of them, but I think there's probably 5 or 6 before they actually explain why it works.
well,
Mhm.
yeah. Near the end of the movie, it's just firing off on all cylinders. Like they're just doing weird shit to
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
More
yeah,
extreme to find that extreme
yeah.
power that they can harness, right?
It did have a it
100%.
it's a very serious dramatic movie, but it had amazing bits of comedy in it as
Mhm.
well too, right? Like it's a good movie. Like
Yeah.
did you guys enjoy it? Like did you enjoy it? Was it
I did. I wish I paid. I was a little distracted last night, so I didn't
yeah,
give it the most. I didn't give it 100%, but I am going to watch it again because I
yeah,
want to get all the nuance out of it and all the
yeah,
things that
it's
Matt saw that I
Hmm.
saw this. I saw the stuff with the jumping on the cameras, but I know I missed a ton.
yeah,
But it was fantastic. I like
yeah.
everything Michelle Yeoh does. I'm a huge fan of hers. I think
She's great. Yeah.
she is awesome. And so I mean, same with Jamie Lee Curtis. I love everything she does.
Even her daughter is a great actress.
She was, and she's well
Like,
deserving of
yeah,
her supporting role Oscar nomination. Like she
yeah,
was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the awards a little closer to
Yeah,
the end of this, but I
sure.
mean, I clicked on the awards just to do some research about an hour before we started this. I was both baffled at the amount of nominations and wins, and at the same time, not surprised now that I have seen
Mhm.
it.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, I
and
mean, going
super
back,
original. So it's not like it's a remake or a reboot or some rehashing of something. It's a
oh,
completely
I will
like
tell you right now, is it not if it's nominated and it should be for best original screenplay, I think that's going to win it.
um,
I'm
you know
gonna.
what? I'm gonna look that up right now.
It
I
is
believe it
okay.
does have
Academy
a
Awards, best original screenplay. It's
yes.
nominated, so I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna win for best original screenplay because it's
Oh,
such a
I don't see how.
creative.
I don't see
well,
how it.
the Fablemans might win just because it's basically Spielberg's life, but
Um,
and I
for
love
well, that
Spielberg.
might win best picture actually, but
It might
I
win
haven't
both.
seen it. But I hear it's
Either, but
amazing.
yeah.
Um,
But you're right. I think everything everywhere should. It's in
'cause it's
terms of
not.
being
It's
original.
not. Yeah.
It's yeah.
It's not easy to do a screenplay like this to
No.
like
Oh
map it
no.
out because it's very complicated, right? So,
Mhm.
um, that's my pick of the week. Don't go by my Giants pick last week.
That was over like 30 seconds in that game. It was
Like,
done.
yeah, they forgot to they forgot that they were in a playoff game for a moment there. For
Well, yeah, well, I think Philly reminded everybody, yeah, the Giants aren't good.
yeah,
I mean,
so
let me just pause while we're talking about the awards. I mean, the best supporting actress got 2 nominations from this film.
Yep.
yeah. Well, there's three.
It's
There's three.
Michelle
All
Yeoh also got the nom for best
yeah.
lead, and Ki Hai Kwan got the nom for the supporting role. So all the 4 characters we see the most in this movie all got
Yeah.
nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
And well deserved.
unfortunately,
Absolutely.
2 of them are in the same category,
I know that's rough.
which fucking sucks. Best director is on the list as well. There's a couple of music nominations, and costume design,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's also probably going to
Absolutely.
win. It's probably going to win for film editing too. I
Yes.
think because
Eh,
couldn't
yeah.
have been easy to edit.
Oh God, no!
No.
Like as you were saying with the glass stuff, like
Yeah,
that all goes into editing, right?
Mhm.
Like they got to get in there, they got to get the effects and the editing for it. That is, and just the cuts they have to do. Were you guys confused at all throughout this movie as
I
they were
was a
doing
little
some of the
bit
jump
sort of at the
cuts?
beginning. But I wasn't paying super close attention. I'm like, what the hell's
yeah.
going on? And I'm
It.
like,
I mean, I can't. I knew it was a multiverse movie, so I knew like where it was headed. You know, like she's tapping into powers of being able to jump from universe to universe and try to fight the big bad evil, basically, right? But
Hmm.
for me, I was waiting for like what's the bigger message, I guess. And it kept going like back and forth. Like it's really interesting too because they play on like this person's evil, but then again they're not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they did a good job of like kind of painting everyone like I mean when you first start watching it you think it's a good versus evil movie. It's like white versus black, so to speak,
mhm.
or you know like whatever, right? But as the movie grows it becomes more of a shade of gray for all the characters and their motives, right? So I really like the direction that it took, and you know like it it seems to end, but then there's more afterwards, and
Yeah.
then it just goes deeper and deeper. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and
Well,
Yeah.
hold on. Now they do. Mike saw it because I could see his face when I was like, yeah. When you said it seems to end, it literally
It
does
literally
seem
did.
to end about 20 minutes before it's done because the way they do one
Yeah.
specific cut to one specific reality, you're like, is this a sequel? Is there a sequel? Is there 3 of them?
Like I had to
Is it
tap my
true?
screen to
no,
see how much time was left. I'm like, what the hell,
Yeah.
man? I'm like,
yeah, but
'cause I'm like,
Same.
that was at like the hour and 15 mark, and the
Yeah, it
movie's
was.
like
I
two
mean,
hours and 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
there was
So
still like there was still a
There was a
good
good chunk of
chunk of
time
movie
left.
left, but
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
they did it, I
yeah,
had that. Do I have to wait for a part 2? Is this a trilogy? Is this a franchise?
Because I was
Like,
getting
and
that this
then
can't be over now. Like I'm
yeah,
like,
I
fuck
mean,
this movie, man. And I'm like,
yeah. If it
not
ended there, it
yeah,
would have been massive dissatisfaction because you're
oh,
just
totally.
left wanting
not
more.
since my
Yeah,
first playthrough of Metal Gear Solid 2 was I so
there's a
fucking
throwback.
confused
Wow.
and
Yeah.
upset because they do a
Yeah,
very similar thing in that video game where they make you think the game is over and or your system is just crashed and shit the bed. And it's like, no, this can't end. I have too many questions. This can't end. Don't you
yeah.
do this to me. Um,
What did you guys think
So
of the sequence when they were rocks? Like when they
that
were
was
I
in,
one of my
loved it.
I
favorite
thought was like
scenes
most
That
of my
was
in
the
the
favorite. Yeah,
best.
movie. Yeah.
favorite part of the movie was just
Yeah.
complete silence and there were two rocks talking. And I'm
For
like, this is
anyone that hasn't seen it, they're probably like, "What the hell are they talking about?" And when you're watching the movie, you're like, "What the hell am I
yeah,
watching?"
yeah, oh
Yes.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm gonna say
fabulous.
something else. Because
it's
I'm
nice
gonna
here.
wait till we finish this
Yeah.
discussion, but I'm going into the other super weird
Don't
one they
think of that
touch
stuff
on.
here.
The Rock one was so deep and
Mhm. Yes,
emotionally touching.
yes.
It
Yeah,
is because it was
it's
And yes,
such
we were
a
looking at
it's
rocks.
2
so
rocks, and it looked like now it might not have been the Grand Canyon, but it looked like they were out on the Grand Canyon. It's just 2, I don't know, 15 or 20-pound rocks on the edge of a cliff overlooking a river,
Yeah,
and it's you got to pay attention because it's all on-screen dialogue, and I mean subtitle stuff as they're going back and forth, and that is where those two characters get the deep personal connection
Mhm.
that they needed to. This movie would
Yeah.
not have worked without it because you
Yeah.
could not have gotten that deep connection with them staring at each other with
No.
the wild costumes and the weird backgrounds and the kung fu and everything else going on in the background. There was absolutely nothing but this weird little, I
Yeah.
mean, little set piece of two rocks talking to each other.
And no music, it's just
Nothing.
nature. And
Dead
it's just
yeah.
text on the screen, and it's subtle too. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I have to read
Yeah.
something. And
Yes.
it's not down low where subtitles are.
Yeah.
It's such
It's
a
up high.
meta. It's
Yeah.
such a meta message too, right? Like, I mean, the movie is pure chaos. Life is pure chaos,
Mhm.
and so in the swirling madness of chaos that we all live in our lives, don't take those moments in life where you can just not think about it and just
Mhm.
exist and just watch something beautiful,
And
right?
that's
Like
what the
that.
daughter was telling her mom. Like, you
Mhm.
just sit here and just soak it in
Yeah,
and just enjoy
just enjoy
the
it.
calm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's layered on so many different levels in that
Mhm.
movie that just one specific every scene is layered. Like, and
Mhm.
I guarantee you, if you rewatch this movie over and over and over again, you're gonna pick up things that you're like, I get what this means now. I
Yeah.
get what this
Oh,
means
totally.
now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a strange and way out
And-
there movie, but
Yeah.
And again, if I
it's
hadn't
good.
been deliberately taking notes, I probably would have missed the impact of that scene. And
Yeah.
as weird as this sounds, as weird as describing the rock scene, and they cut back and forth to it a few more times.
Yeah, they went back a couple times.
It is nowhere near as weird as the hot dog fingers.
The hot dog.
Oh
fingers.
man, that was so amazing.
That
Yeah.
was
And the sound effects with the hot dogs.
That
It
was
was so
yeah.
gross. It was so gross.
disturbing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what am I watching?
the fact that they took it back to, they deliberately cut it shot for shot from one of the opening scenes to 2001: A Space Odyssey, except
Yep.
the ape getting
Oh,
beat
okay.
to death is being beat to death by an ape
Yeah.
with
Hot
Hot
dog
dog
hot
fingers.
dog fingers. And I'm not talking like these little fucking Schneider ones that are like 6 inches
These-
long.
these
I
are
mean,
kidding.
like
They're like
ballpark
German
Franks.
bratwursts.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, the bratwurst,
Yeah.
the plump and juicy suckers, right? The
Did you
juicy
see-
jumbos?
Did you
And-
see the so there's the thing that she watches on the television where there's the two ballerinas or singers or whatever.
Yes.
Did you see them in the hot dog fingers when they were
Yes,
like
I
putting
did.
it in each other's mouth and there's
Yeah.
like mustard and
Mustard,
ketchup.
ketchup.
No. But as
It's like, what am
bizarre
I
and
watching?
as bizarre and funny as that was, it has a couple of payoffs.
Yeah.
Because there is a fight scene where they reference, well, when you have hot dog fingers, you have to learn to use your feet for different
Yeah,
things. And
totally.
that works into a
Yeah.
fight scene.
Yeah.
But also, it explains the connection between Jamie Lee Curtis's character and Michelle Yeoh's character in a completely different context.
Yes.
Yeah.
That goes back to an earlier fight scene where Michelle Yeoh has to say something to her in one of those
Yeah.
bizarre.
Mm.
She has to say something
Yeah.
specific
And
to-
mean it.
and mean it.
Yeah.
Much like eating the gum, to get as close to the different version of herself. And I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil this one. I'm trying real hard, but she
No,
has to
just
say
leave
something
it.
specific.
Yeah.
Then don't
Just leave it
spoil
there.
it.
I think it's
It
good
is-
there. Yeah.
Is it at the beginning or at the end of the movie? What you're talking
Beginning.
about? Okay.
beginning.
Yeah.
But
In the stairwell.
it fleshes that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fleshes that out, and you're like, oh, that ties back to what I watched 40 minutes ago. It was weird and it was bizarre, and they do a bunch of other cuts. I mean, there's an animated one. There's like a kindergarten crayon
Mhm.
version universe, and they don't spend a lot of time on these ones.
And the
They just sort of
pinatas.
jump-
The pinata's just gonna
The
say they're hanging.
Pinatas was good.
Well, we're just hanging around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh god,
And I love
it's good.
The movie was basically, with all the side stuff and the jumping going on, it was filmed in one location. It was filmed in that building for the most part.
For the
There's a
most
little
part,
bit of
yeah.
laundromat, but the bulk of the movie was
The
in
IRS
that
building. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
in the
it was in
IRS.
different sort of rooms. And
They were either there or the laundromat,
Yeah,
and with the
Yeah.
exception of, and it's 100% second unit where they just sent out to like the Grand Canyon or somewhere in
yeah,
Arizona or whatever to film the rock thing.
yeah.
It's the laundromat, interior, exterior, and it's the IRS building.
That's
There's
it.
really not much else.
Yeah. Even
There's just
when
all the
in the
wild, crazy
Alphaverse, you
stuff.
don't see any of the
Yeah.
Alphaverse. You see
Mm.
inside that van or the RV or whatever that
Yeah.
thing was. That's all you see.
The short bus.
The short
It
run
was a
bus.
hundred. It was 100% a short bus.
Was it a short
Dude,
bus?
Yeah.
Nice.
it's very visually colorful too, the film. Like
Hmm.
there's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
like, bright colors. Cinematography was phenomenal in the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just visually stunning, the movie. And it's just, again, it's so out there, but it's the message though at the end is what's important, right? I
Yeah,
think, of the movie. And
totally.
yeah,
Yeah, and they go through a lot of stuff where
yeah,
you're like, oh, it's this. Well, I mean, you start thinking, oh, he's going to get superpowers. That's not what the movie's about.
No,
Oh, this is about jumping between dimensions.
no,
Nope,
that's not
not
what the
quite.
movie's about.
Oh, it's about this.
no.
Yeah.
Almost there.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Oh, it's only these two.
Yeah,
But it's amazing when you watch it, like how many changes Michelle Yeoh's
Hmm.
character goes through.
hmm,
Like she goes on this massive personal journey of growth, right? The whole family does, right? But it's
yeah,
centered around her character, right? And just when you think she's figured it out, there's another layer that needs to be peeled off, and another
yeah,
layer of understanding about what's supposed to happen and what's not
yeah.
supposed to happen, right? Like,
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's
And then
it's
even the stuff between her and
yeah.
her dad, all the issues they had when she
Well, it all
went away,
connects too,
it all
right?
connects
Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
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 I mean, I like how they branch off from that single moment, and I think they do it 3 or 4 times of when she chooses to leave with Data,
hmm,
yeah,
or Kihai Kwan, because now suddenly it sounds like I'm talking Star Trek. Um, and they branch off 3 or 4 different times from
yeah,
that, and like
That-
it's a key moment in your life,
yeah.
I
right?
just
And a
Like,
key moment of regret for her almost too, with some of the other
yeah.
places she ended up going
mhm.
too, right? And trying to reconcile the fact, okay, this is I could have had
Oh,
this,
it's
If I
but
never went with you, I would have
yeah,
had this. I would have
like
been
that whole
famous.
what if
Yeah,
scene near the end, like
yeah,
the outside the theater there
yeah. I
when they
mean,
were talking, that was deep
that was a
stuff.
that was a big time. All these problems I have over here are gone,
Yeah,
except I now don't have this person and I
yeah,
don't have this
yeah,
person, and there's a big chunk of my life missing
yeah,
because I have solved all these other problems, but this is what I had to sacrifice.
yeah,
And that's, you think, oh, well, I mean, that's because it's a very different life. I mean, aside from being a rock, it is probably the biggest change
yeah.
from the actual life she was
Hmm.
living at the beginning of the film.
On both sides, him and
A
yeah,
her,
100%.
right? Because he had his stuff, and then yeah, it's but they both realize in that moment, oh, but we don't have what's important to us.
yeah.
And it
And
was
then
like,
when she tries to get closer, as the rock just slides over,
yeah,
Hmm.
get
Yeah.
away from me, come
yeah,
here.
right,
Yeah. And, I got,
So one of my favorite moments in the scene, because it's just out of nowhere, is when she's in trouble and her dad comes to save her in a super wheelchair.
and it was something reminded me of something
You're
out of
like,
the
what
like
the hell
Alien.
is
Yeah,
this?
he's like
He's
wearing
got
like
like,
the alien suit.
yeah, that,
yeah,
that takes a bizarre twist when they get
yeah,
into the rest of I'm just going to call them the Alpha Squad,
yeah. That
The
works.
as
Alpha
Yeah,
cops or whatever
what,
the hell they are.
yeah, the Dimension Cops or whatever. It
Yeah,
gets into a weird twist there. It's like,
yeah.
okay, like,
But like
again,
they're
I
good
I cannot
guys, but
be.
are they? Are they
yeah.
really? But then they are. But
And
then
it was
you're like,
starting to
well,
lose me for a minute. I'm like, I'm not digging. I'm not buying
yeah,
into this. I'm like, that's
Okay,
too
now
much.
this leads to a big fight scene, and we can't not talk about
Oh no.
the key part of this fight scene. It goes on for a while, and in the back of my
In the
head,
shape of something
I
like this, kind of.
not
Hmm.
quite.
it's a bit bigger than that,
Yeah, a little bit. Well,
rounder.
Anyways, so aside from my original note, I thought it was just a little chuckle thing. I did not think this was gonna come back
well, to have a full
because
fight scene with
We're talking about butt
Butt
plugs,
plugs.
by the
Yes.
way.
So yes, so
Inserted butt plugs in
there
the kung
are
fu scene. It's
so the
just
Alpha Squad has two guys on it, and they're doing the same thing as the main characters are. They're pulling information from other realities, and these two guys get the information. Say, hey, to get the fighting skills you need to take her down, you need to do this, and it's use the butt plug.
I
So
can
there's
see
a
how
whole
some
thing.
people haven't seen the movie and
Are
that are
and now
listening
fucking
to this are
weirded
going
right
like,
out.
"What are you talking about? This sounds
You know what?
horrible." But
I
but
literally warned them over an hour ago about this.
yeah,
So trust us, guys. If you've ignored my warning, watch it anyways.
it's
Do it
amazing.
for
It's a good,
us.
it's a phenomenal
It
movie.
is
Yeah.
yeah,
absolutely. I back this. It is worth your time.
absolutely.
You absolutely won't regret it. I do have a caveat down the road for that. Actually, it's more of a question that I thought of watching this. However, so they do this, and what conservatively, 3 to 5 minute fight scene
Yeah, something like that.
where one
Well,
guy does eventually get a butt plug in and becomes Bruce Lee.
but the whole point of the fight scene at the beginning is to prevent that from happening. So
Yeah. So
one party is
there's a
trying to prevent it from
yeah
happening.
there's
Yeah.
a 2 minute fight scene leading up to the fact that she doesn't want this to happen, but a second guy comes in and makes it happen, and he's a bigger security dude, and he is, to steal a line from Deadpool 2, shirt cocking it for the whole fight, to the
With
point
the,
where you see the butt plug on the one guy and you see the butt plug on the other guy, and they're just flailing away for the whole fight, and it is hard not to laugh.
they're not very
I don't know if
small
I
either.
wanted to use the term hard
No, they
there,
are
but
not
I did.
small.
But they also blur out the
Yes.
security guard because he is shirt cocking it, and
Yeah,
it's not a small blur. So good for you, homie. It
he's well endowed.
I honestly I had not laughed that hard at a fight scene probably since
And
Deadpool.
even
Like,
being there filming that, and having to be on the other side of that fight, being Michelle Yeoh going, really? I have like, come
can you
on, man.
imagine?
Yeah,
How many laughs and how many times did they go through doing that scene over and over and over because someone just fell to their knees, pissing their pants, laughing?
do you
Oh, it
know
probably
that
took
the
weeks.
the
Yeah.
first time they meet the baddie, whatever, what was the name, Jobo or whatever,
Jobu,
Jobu,
something like
she's fighting with nunchuck dildos.
Yes.
Oh yes, yes, I do have that in my notes as well.
The frame
And she
pause
kills
at
a
the end. Like,
Yeah, she kills a couple dudes with them, and
Yeah.
they're good, like 18 inches long.
They're
Like,
pretty large, yeah.
Yeah.
Just imagine a
atta
nunchuck
girl.
that's this length,
Like
the
your arm.
length of a nunchuck, but
I
yeah,
believe-
it's the length of your arm.
I think Grand Theft Auto San Andreas had one that you could eventually pick up in the game.
course
and
they did.
use to beat
why,
to death. Yeah,
why wouldn't it?
but yeah, that's it. Yes, that happened. While we're talking about and I'm Jobu, which makes me think of Major League, but it's a longer name, and I'm not going to try to butcher it. As they're talking about this big bad, this force throughout the early parts of the movie, did you guys mentally guess who it was correctly?
I had-
Well, they showed you earlier in it, right?
Well, they kind of hint towards it, and then
Yeah.
as it goes on,
It's from the
I-
back, being shot from behind,
When
right?
when
And
she's
then-
in the
Yeah.
bar and she's in the hoodie, right?
yes. Now I had a guess early in the movie.
Yeah.
I was fucking wrong. I thought we were dealing with
Jamie Lee Curtis.
No, I didn't. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was a pawn. I thought we were dealing with Michelle Yeoh, and it's not.
Yeah, that's
And
why
then-
that was my original first thought. It was like, oh, it's going to be
Because
the opposite version of of that one.
You're
is.
fighting your shadow,
It's,
so to speak.
it's
Yeah.
that
right?
sci-fi trope, right?
Yeah.
Like it's Ryu and Akuma. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's Picard versus Locutus.
The cutest.
Oh yeah.
I am Borg. Yeah, no, I got it pretty quick. Like I knew it was the person when you see them in a hoodie at the bar.
Okay.
So that just I'm like, oh, it's obviously that person because it just makes the most sense from a story standpoint,
Yeah.
right? But it's good that like when you're watching it, you want to be able to figure things out, but you also want twists, right?
Yeah.
You don't want everything to be a twist. You want to feel validated that you've got something right as an audience member, right? So
Oh, absolutely.
there's a really good balance of like I'm figuring stuff out as I'm going, and then being completely, there's complete twists in it as well. So,
Mhm.
so yeah,
I'm looking at my notes, and my fourth note is the omniversal being is Michelle Yeoh, and I marked it down 36 minutes into the movie thinking, figured this shit out.
Yeah, look at me.
Especially
Yeah.
since having recently watched both Knives Out and The Glass Onion, so I'm like in that murder mystery mode of like, got this
Yeah.
Colonel Mustard and with the candlestick in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And then just minutes later, nope, not so much. Which was
But in a way, it kind of was the
as she
shadow.
is
Just
beating people to
Yeah.
death with 2 dildos.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
have
that was something.
going back to, as I'm looking at my notes, going back to the dildo fight. Again, sounds weird. That's the
Okay.
weirdest hallway fight I'd ever seen in my life.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Wow. Like,
Yeah. So, do you think it's going to win Best Picture?
I don't know. I could see script. I can definitely see case for
I can see actors.
at least one actor.
Well,
If
I think
not,
Ke Kwan's he's gonna win. I think.
I
think Michelle Yeoh
really
will
hope
win.
he does.
Me too.
I would like to see at least 2 of them win
Yeah.
Oscars for acting. I don't. I think for picture it's a little too weird. But I can definitely see costuming and screenplay as well.
They got nominated for Best Directing too.
Have you guys
Daniel
seen any
Kwan
of the nominated movies for picture?
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
even
trying
know
to
what the
find
rest
them
of
out.
are. Now, while you guys
Okay.
are looking at that,
I've
I'm
got the
looking
list
at my
right in front of
notes
me.
here.
Yeah.
And there's 2 quotes I wrote down. At some point, and I can't. I believe it's Joy says to Michelle Yeoh's character, "You're living your worst you."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
think
that
about
kind
that.
of yeah.
Like
Yeah.
one of the big things of the last 10 years or so is like, oh, I'm living my best life. You know, talk to me next Saturday. I'm gonna tell you I'm living my best life,
Yeah.
and we'll get into that in a couple of weeks. And then not too long after that, they're trying to give Michelle Yeoh a hype speech. They're trying to motivate her. You're capable of anything because you are so bad at everything.
Yeah, that was good. This
Yeah.
is the
And
worst version of you.
it sounds like an insult off the bat, but when you stop and you go, oh, if I just pick one thing to be good at, it could be anything. Like, I'm terrible at fucking everything right now. I just have to pick one thing to be good at and go do it.
There's nowhere but up. You're starting
Yeah.
at ground zero, so
Yeah.
climb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Also, looking at my notes, when we were going back to the fanny pack, it wasn't even the worst weapon or funniest weapon used in the film. Do you guys know where I'm going? Mike,
I know exactly.
I can see it. I know. I can see it. Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Are you sure you wanted that medium-sized dog of yours, or do you want to go back and trade it
Oh,
in for
yeah.
something?
I want to trade it for a
Strangers on
Pomeranian,
the
man.
street?
That was the best.
Because as much as and you know, it's like they use a chain in some of the kung fu movies with the blade on one end or whatnot, and that's how they use the fanny pack. But that's also how this one lady uses her small dog on a leash.
The big nose lady.
Yeah, and the way the fight was going with the fridge, and she was smart enough to open the fridge and lock the dog in the fridge.
No dogs were harmed in the making of this movie.
It was
and
clearly fake.
yeah.
It's pretty they made no bones about it, not even looking really all that real. So it's fun.
Yeah, and she handled it well as like the story character, right? Like,
can't hear you, Matt.
Matt, can't hear you. You muted yourself.
I hit the button. Is that better?
There it is.
Yeah, I got a little button on the thing here, and if I the cord's long. Anyways, that's what I liked about it is they didn't make any effort to disguise the fact. It's like, we're not even trying to make this look real because we'll be crucified for it.
Yeah.
So we're going to make this look as terrible as humanly possible. So all you can do is laugh. And I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And the whole scenes with Ratatouille, like when she's talking about Ratatouille, and they're like, no, Dum Dum, it's Ratatouille. She's like, no, it's Ratatouille. And then you see in one of the alternate universes, the chef.
It's not the mouse or the rat.
It's a raccoon.
All I could think of watching those was Zombievers. That's if you haven't seen Zombievers.
I haven't seen Zombievers.
It is that kind of like it's kind of like walking into a Chuck E. Cheese where the last maintenance guy quit 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
it's that bad animatronics. It's not supposed to look good.
It's like Yoda from Empire Strikes Back. It's
Yeah.
terrible. Like, it's just
It makes the Muppet movie look like a Beowulf, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just ain't there.
And then later when she's on his shoulders pulling on his hair to get him to run, I was just like, this was so funny.
That was a really good sequence of events too, right? Because she's being empowered by all these scenarios that all seem to start failing at one time through all the different universes. And then it's literally the you've fallen, rise up stronger moment, right? And then she rises up and starts supporting all of those different characters, like where she's riding on him to chase after the raccoon. People that haven't seen the movie are like, what are you talking about? But then he falls saying it can't do it, and then she basically takes him on her shoulders and goes, no, we're going after it, right? So it's such a
it was so heartwarming too.
It's very wholesome for sure.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, he's a character, and there's a few of them. They pop up in different realities, and then they pop up as alternate version of themselves in the next one, or whatever. They pop up repeatedly.
Was the chef one of the butt plug duo? Was he one of those?
Yes, he was.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, it was the chef and the security guard.
Yeah.
It's interesting how like they just mix the different characters as different relationships through all the universes. Like in one it's an enemy, the other it's a friend, one it's his girlfriend, the other universe it's somebody trying to kill you. It's just
sometimes having a small payroll budget works out for you.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, they maximized whatever it cost to make this movie. They got every penny out of it.
And as much as we were discussing Ki Kwan, Data, Short Rounds, diversity through this, and Michelle Yeoh's, I mean, all of the side characters that pop up in, 2 or 3 different things. I mean, they had to do the exact same thing. It's like, okay, so you're the same guy, but now you're going to do this.
Yeah.
Now you're going to do this. Same guy. Now you're in this costume and you're doing this. Like everybody on set had to do multiple versions of the same character, and it was that's got to be a daunting ask, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Whether you have lines or not, you got to give them their own personalities, right? And they got to have their own everything going for them.
The big thing that I just read this morning is with Margot Robbie in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where she only had 5 minutes worth of lines, and people asked that were angry with Quentin Tarantino, and his response is like, the quantity of lines has nothing to do with the importance of a character in a movie, right? So because you're not saying any lines, like look at Tom Hardy in Mad Max. He says like 3 lines in the whole movie.
Say anything,
right? But he's the most important character.
But anyways, back than that. Like, I mean, as far as lines go, Schwarzenegger did not have that many words to say in Terminator 2.
Well, because he couldn't.
It came down to like,
I
think he was making 6 figures per word in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you average it out.
When you averaged it out, it was a big thing at the time, but it's not necessary for the character, right? No. Like you have that. Like anybody that ever played Snake Eyes in a G.I. Joe film, which should all burn in hell and go never be seen again, got paid and didn't say a word except for that one really, really bad movie that I hate. Moving on. Now I'm on a different movie and I'm just mad.
Now we're gonna start talking about Nicolas Cage to make him real mad.
Oh
yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us at the inn.
Okay, so real quick, Mike, why don't you tell us? Do you have the best picture list up there?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So there's 10 films. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Woman Talking.
Okay, so I've seen 3 of these films.
How is Avatar?
It shouldn't be Best Picture.
No.
There's no. If Avatar wins Best Picture, I'm gonna be like, this is James Cameron paid somebody off.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have put it in Best Picture. There's no way.
Okay.
There's just no way it should be there.
Like,
It's a good movie, but it's
Yeah.
not a Best Picture quality movie,
Okay.
right?
Okay,
So
now when exactly are the Academy Awards? Aren't these
March.
March? I should know because I used to have to ignore party invites to those from work.
I did see All Quiet on the Western Front. It's on Netflix. It's
Okay.
German. It's all in German, and it is fucking. It's amazing. It is.
Yeah. I've
Fucking
heard Elvis
awesome.
Okay, so-
is very good as well.
Yes.
Which one?
Elvis, I heard, is very good
Yeah.
as well. I think
Yeah, that
he's
keeps
nominated
popping
for
up on
Best
the watch
Actor,
list.
right?
Yes. He won the Golden Globe for Best Actor. Yeah. Musical or drama. Obviously, Top Gun's not going to win. We all know that, right? It's a good movie. It's great. I don't think it's Tom Cruise. He's blackballed. He's not going to win nothing.
If Tom was going to win for anything, it would have been Last Samurai.
I don't know, guys. That Top Gun might be a dark horse pick for the Oscar.
You know what?
So.
You know why?
Why?
Well, Matt, what were you going to say?
Honestly, if he was going to win, it would have been for Last Samurai. It was probably his best performance. Top Gun 2, really close second. But it's a character he's already, I don't want to say perfected, but played before. Whereas,
but we're looking at
he's Maverick a lot too in a lot of movies, right?
Yeah, with the except, Maverick is basically Ethan Hunt.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
With the exception of Collateral, where he's the only time he's really played a villain.
No, I disagree. Lestat, one of his most amazing performances when he plays in Interview with a Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So good in that.
I think
so
I
good
still,
in that.
I still
And he
think,
broke the mold in that movie because everyone had him as
Born on the 4th of July, same thing,
Also a
right?
good one,
He got. I don't know if he won, but he got nominated for that.
Yeah,
he did.
I know that.
He did.
But,
I mean, and both great. Like I have nothing bad to say about either of those, but I think his last decent shot at it was Last Samurai. And if he couldn't have pulled that off, then it's not going to happen for him. I mean, we might be looking at a Susan Lucci, Leonardo DiCaprio, sweet Jesus, when is this man going to get his time? But I mean, we've just named 4 or 5 movies because he was fantastic in Collateral.
Yeah, he was really good.
Villain.
Play the bad guy. Yeah.
And
he plays better. He's a better actor when he plays a villain.
Because he's probably more natural to himself.
He's Interview Vampire is the second time.
Kind of on the borderline, but
he's kind of the villain in that. Because Brad Pitt's the main character, right? So
it's a borderline, and Brad Pitt wanted out of that movie. But you know what? We'll get back. I'm sure we'll get into.
We could do that one day.
From other point.
Yeah,
you think this has a shot to win Best Picture? Obviously, we haven't seen all those movies, but
I do. I think it does. I'm gonna watch
Best Picture.
I don't think we can really answer that until we've watched more than one or two of the other ones, right?
I agree. I mean, I've only seen 2 on that list.
Yeah, and All Quiet's a war movie, so it's war movies tend to do well, but it's also nominated in Best Foreign Film, so they might not give it to that anyway because it'll win foreign film.
Yeah,
and it got banned in Germany too, so which is kind of an interesting tidbit.
It probably sheds them in a negative light.
Well, it does. That's what the book's about: is Germans losing World War I.
I hope it wins a bunch of awards, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
I really do.
I'm sure it'll win a bunch. It might be one of those ones where, we're looking at, this should be Best Picture for sure, but it wins everything but. It's like, winner of 15 Academy Awards, but they're all like 3 of them were on the main show. They were in the first hour, and everything else was like off camera.
Like Tar is supposed to be absolutely amazing with Cate Blanchett. That's supposed to be,
Oh, I like her.
Yeah, she's always good in everything she does. That's in her performance. Apparently, is just like one of her best. So I think that one's in there too.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you off because I've been trying to get this out. The Academy Awards are March 12th.
Yes, they are.
That is usually a Sunday.
Sunday, March 12th. It's my wife's birthday on that day.
Happy birthday, Sherry.
Happy birthday, Sherry. Sorry.
Don't forget, Mike.
I never do.
No, so at the risk of getting Mike in trouble,
we'll be watching the Oscars.
Do we want to try and watch a few more of these and do a pre-Academy Awards Best Picture show for March the 11th?
Yes. I think so.
That gives us 6 weeks.
Yes.
5 weeks to watch as many as we can.
Because I'll be watching the
I'm
Banshees
not-
of Inisherin this weekend
am-
with Sherry.
I'm
'cause she
not
hear
going to
that's
lie
good.
to you. You do not have enough money to pay me to watch another Avatar movie.
Oh, I'm not watching Avatar. Fuck that.
The fact that it's even on that list.
It just looks like the same as the first movie, but in water. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, and the first movie was the
I've seen
rehash
it
of,
once,
like,
and that was the one in the
Yeah,
theater.
I'm super surprised it's on a Best Picture list. Like, I don't understand why it's on there. It shouldn't
The
be on there.
That's
first
because
movie-
there's 10 movies on there. They don't even need to have 10. Stupid.
No, they
It's
don't.
not
They
a
need to
top
cut
10
that in
movie.
half.
No.
The first Avatar was a John Wayne movie.
Yeah.
With space cowboys and blue
It's
Indians.
Pocahontas, basically. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
really.
100%.
Yeah.
I've seen John Wayne do the same movie 15 times. And I love John Wayne movies. However, they weren't exactly known for being culturally diverse and deep.
No.
I mean, sure, he did a couple really good ones like that,
Yeah.
but a lot of the time it was Fast and Furious, Mission Impossible, Transformers, popcorn
Yeah.
movies. It's just the westerns were the
Spaghetti
thing at the time.
westerns.
Yeah. Well, not even spaghetti westerns. I
those
would
are
say
good.
are a little more dramatically deep for
Yeah.
the most part, especially Eastwood stuff, and I'll defend that to the
Yeah.
death. We'll get into
Sergio
Eastwood.
Leone movies. Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, Avatar it ripped off like 4 or 5 John Wayne movies. It's, to me, I watched it and I was like, the only reason this made money is because it was groundbreaking 3D special effects, the same way Star Wars was.
Yeah.
It was a huge leap forward in special effects.
Yes.
Made a bunch of money. Star Wars had a better story, and even that story is still fairly standard. Save the princess.
And then give Avatar all the technical awards. That's what it
100%.
deserves.
It's
That's
gonna
what it deserves.
win like best special effects for
So,
sure.
absolutely.
Like, it's going to.
Let's call the ball now. March 11th. Everybody out there that's listening to this, hopefully you're listening before March 10th or 13th. We're gonna do Best Picture countdown. We'll watch as many as we can. I'm obviously not going to get to any during the week. Maybe I will. I mean, I'll take
You
the list
might.
with me. I'm on an airplane.
Do you have a tablet? Just watch it on there.
Hey,
So
yeah, but I
Michelle,
won't have Wi-Fi.
Michelle Yeoh,
Can you download them? I guess you can't.
Michelle Yeoh won the Golden Globe for Best Actress. For
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and so did
And
Ki
Ki Kwan won for best
Yeah.
supporting.
And as Mike was mentioning in his speech
Nice.
earlier, the part where he said, "Don't forget where you come from. I'm so happy Steven Spielberg was here." Like, I got a little moist.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's 'cause,
Even
like,
hearing the name called, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry.
and Steven's just sitting there, no selling it to the best of his ability, going,
Yeah.
"What I cast this kid in."
You're terrible. You are terrible.
Well, it's been years. I know I am.
A long
I am
time. It's been a couple
absolutely
years, right?
terrible. I mean, like,
Yeah.
his credits are The Goonies and Temple of Doom. So
plays the same character in both.
pretty much.
Kind of,
Well,
yeah.
one's
He was
smarter
like
than the
8 and
other.
10 years old. Give the kid a break. Or 10 and 12 or
100%.
whatever.
100%. And I think we've wasted a talent. I think
I think so
some
too.
of this guy's prime years were absolutely wasted.
And with all the different characters he played in this movie, he's very diverse in what he can do. It's not like he's just going to play like this sort of loser dad. He's everything. He's
very impressed with his acting chops.
Yeah.
Like, he really came
Absolutely.
through. Yeah.
And this is not like he's been practicing on the big screen. I don't know what he's been doing outside of this. He might have been doing a lot of like plays.
theater. So
in
probably.
theater, or
Because I know he thanked his wife for basically supporting and keeping his dream alive for all these
he's
years.
he's gonna be a hot hand right now.
Well,
Like, people
now
are
they're talking. He's going to
Yeah.
Marvel on some in some Marvel stuff.
there you go.
Yeah. Get into Marvel. It's over. You're good.
He was in Loki, actually. He was in 6 episodes of Loki.
What?
That's what it says. 6 episodes of Loki.
I'd have to watch Loki again. I
Yeah.
fell asleep through most of them, granted, so I really can't judge.
You know what? We will eventually get into the MCU portion of the nerddom, because
I'm so
as
far
you can
behind.
tell
Oh,
from
good
my
God.
background,
Yeah,
I
Captain
will
Nerd.
have opinions.
You got some opinions. Hey, I started watching the.
I'm biding my time on that one.
Then if we do that, I want to do some horror stuff. You have to watch some. You have to watch some.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll give you,
You
the
have to
light
watch
horror.
Hereditary, man. It is these. Oh fuck.
Okay.
off. Like
Okay,
I
so
literally couldn't sleep for 2
Okay,
days.
we'll
Awesome.
negotiate off the air because right now I think we're running almost 90 minutes into this. Here's my question for you guys though.
Okay.
Was my big thing. I could very well see us watching this in Maddie's basement 25 years ago. Do you watch this movie only when you're high, or do you never watch this movie high?
not the first time.
I'm not really a good judge to.
No, you're not. You,
No, I'm
but
not.
like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was
my,
thinking watching it going, if you were like on something, I don't know how the hell you're making any sense of this shit.
I think
Dude, watching this on magic mushrooms would be just out of those.
You would fuck.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could even get through this bake, let alone on mushrooms. And I just didn't like acid. But it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, dude, you gotta watch. Like, to steal Jon Stewart's line from Half Baked. Have you ever seen everything everywhere all at once? Have you ever seen everything everywhere all at once on weed?
I don't think you watch it the first time. I think you watch it just basic. Not
I-
basic is
I-
the wrong word, but just because there's a message
Straight.
to it. There's a deep
You watch it
message.
straight, right?
Sober.
You watch it straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Sober
if you
straight,
want to
right.
rewatch it, you're going to learn something different if you're on
Yeah.
psychedelics or
Whatever.
weed or whatever.
floats your
Whatever
boat.
floats your boat. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
So-
this is gonna fall in with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas,
Which you
and-
do want to watch when you're inebriated, when you're
Well,
not
it's hard.
straight.
It's hard if you're watching it sober. You get an urge.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my notes. It's like, oh, can you? Because I've in the Mouth of Madness, I've seen it twice, ripped out of my tree, baked to the tits, both times, and we're talking late '90s.
That's with Sam Neill, right?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
One
look
was
at
at
me.
Maddie's house, and one was at I think her name was Sarah, blonde girl that we used to hang out with, lived up by me. Anyways, and both times I'm sitting there and I watch the whole thing, I'm like, I don't understand this movie at all. And I'd always meant to go back and watch it sober to see if it worked. And I'm going on 20 some odd years of not getting around to it. But there are
That's
just
okay.
some movies that I feel you need to. I feel works for that sort of situation, but
Mhm.
if you don't watch it straight, sober, whatever you want to call it, at least once, you're not gonna have a freaking clue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so would you not recommend this movie to anyone?
Oh,
Or
I've
just
recommended
recommend
it
it
to
to
people
everybody?
I
already.
recommend
I'm
everybody.
100%
Yeah.
recommending it to people.
Except maybe Phil
Absolutely.
Anselmo. He might not appreciate it. But
What's a memorable takeaway scene or something that we haven't talked about that
Oh, we
you
haven't.
guys want to bring up?
I think for me, like the beginning with the sort of the how the two main characters were so one's just I'm just gonna stick this out and we're just gonna make it work, and the other one's like, I got fucking divorce papers in my hand, and I
Yeah,
haven't been showing it to you, but I can't, but I know I want to, and it's that sort of like the magnet that's like it's the push and pull of their relationship at the beginning.
It's interesting because watching the power that she has, you would have felt that she would be the one with the divorce papers,
Exactly.
not him. So
No,
it's a really nice
Yeah.
twist
Mhm.
where he's like, I'm
Yes.
not getting the nurturing person
Yeah.
that I need you to be. So yeah, that was
that really stuck out to me. It was I think it to be in that situation would suck. Like it just
yeah.
Not that I
Yeah.
don't have any experience with that, but yeah, it would suck. Absolutely suck.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I have had a similar experience to that, not currently.
No,
In
you're very happy.
further back in life. Right now, I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have had that experience where I'm like, I don't want to be here, and I chose reasons for sticking it out until I was really, really frustrated with something, and then I
Mhm.
heard the words out of her mouth that made me went, "Fuck, fine."
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
And she didn't expect me to wrap up affairs and be gone as quick, put her in a really bad situation. And I'm like, well, you said the fucking words and I already wanted out. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I guess the takeaway message from the movie is in a nutshell is be kind. Be
Mhm.
kind to everybody.
Yeah.
Because everyone goes through shit, and if you try to be empathetic towards that and just be kind and just try to be understanding, that's all that people really need, is someone to say it's okay, I understand what you're going through,
Yeah.
and I'm here for you.
Mhm.
Instead of battling with your own demons, set
Yeah.
those aside and be gracious towards that person, and they'll
Mhm.
be gracious back towards you.
Yeah.
So gratuity really is kind of a big message in this movie.
Well, even at the end scenes with
Yeah.
Michelle and Jamie Lee Curtis sitting on the bench outside, same kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's, kind of the bearing of
Candid.
the,
Yeah,
just candid, honest conversation.
honest
And
conversation.
yeah,
Like, how are you? Like, how are you really?
yeah,
Mhm.
Like,
yeah,
what's
exactly.
really going on in there? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And for me, that scene that we haven't really touched on is there is a scene in Hot Dog Finger Universe where it really shows what their relationship could have been in an alternate universe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it really brings to the forefront of why Jamie Lee Curtis is so central to the film.
Mhm.
And she really
Everyone's important
is.
in the film. Like,
Everybody is, but
yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, there's four characters that are absolutely crucial, central. Everybody
Mhm.
else they could have gotten around, but Jamie Lee Curtis could have been a throwaway, especially with the way Michelle Yeoh's dad turns out to be in the Alpha universe,
Yeah.
where she could have just been a minion, but she's not. She's central to it, and you
Yeah.
see that. You don't realize you see it because there is that scene we discussed earlier where something has to be said in a certain way
Yeah.
between the two of them.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. It made so much more sense when that all flushed itself out. It was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and also to expand on Seb's things of be kind is I have an almost 19-year-old daughter, and on a daily fucking basis
You're like,
we
just be kind.
clash. It's not even. It's not.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of, you know what, I'm not going to turn this into a therapy session. We clash. I mean, it's not blood and guts. It's very much a, hey, this, and I'm like, well, no, this for this reason, but this for this reason, and then yeah,
Mhm.
and
Well,
it's
here.
not been fun. And to see the mother daughter thing in this really hit with me because I can resonate with it,
Mhm.
um, because of it to a much lesser degree how me and my oldest are. And as I'm about to spend 10 days with her 3 feet from me at all times, it really hit home of be very careful with how you treat your kids
Yes.
and how you allow them to treat you, and when to cave. I'm sure she's somewhere in my not well insulated house, because I know she's not watching, going, ha ha, I
No,
win.
she snuck out already.
Yeah.
No.
She doesn't need to sneak out. She's
I guess she not.
18 and has her
Yeah.
own car. She
Yeah.
can just
She's just
go.
like, I'm out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
As
that's a
long as she's
message.
yeah,
That's
as
a
long as she's
message
here at
for
3 a.m. Saturday morning, I don't care.
That's
Yeah.
a
Right.
message for a lot of parents, right? And for you
Mhm.
two guys,
Mhm.
I don't have kids that I'm aware of. I probably have some running around somewhere.
There
But that's a
somewhere.
different story. It's a message for parents. It's like we, as parents, it's our job to mold our kids. But at some point, I think parents want to live vicariously through their kids, and
Oh, without a doubt.
they want to guide them in a certain way.
Yeah.
And at some point in your parenting in your life, you have to be able to let go of all that and let them carve their own path in
And
life.
realize they're not you in
They're
your
not
childhood.
you. They're
They are,
not going to do the things you want them to do. They're going to
Yeah.
do their own things, right? So,
absolutely.
um,
And it's
yeah,
hard looking at it, being a parent, doing and thinking like that, and trying to think like that, and trying to,
because you want to do what's best for them. But
yes, and you only know what's best because that was what was done for you. So you think
yes,
it's going to be the same thing, but is that really the best thing to do? Probably
it might not. It might not
Might
be the
not be.
best for them, right?
No,
So
exactly.
No, not at
that's
all.
and
It's a
you're
balancing act.
never gonna get it right. You're
No.
never
Oh,
gonna
fuck
get
no.
it right. You're just gonna get it, hopefully, to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hope to God that it's good enough. And
Without a doubt.
but I mean, your guys' kids, you've nailed parenting, both of you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
Okay.
trying, and you know what? That is one of the things is we're trying our best as parents.
Yeah.
I know that I have tried very, very hard to avoid some of the things I felt were mistakes in my upbringing, but at the same time, I've only recently started correcting something that wasn't, which is the family vacation time. So, I mean, granted, I'm only taking 75% of the kids on this because the fourth one just won't go, but I am getting the second big, and not like, oh, we're going up to nanny's or we're gonna
Yeah.
go do this for the weekend, like big family trip.
Yeah.
I honestly wish, and I know he can hear me because he's on the other side of the wall. I honestly wish he was coming, but it's honestly it's too fucking late to change names on things.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things where I went, damn it, I was really trying not to do this when I set out as a parent. If you're listening, mom, dad, no offense, I've gotten over 98% of it. We'll talk about the other two later.
Yeah.
But you don't really realize where you fucked up until it hits you in the face where you fucked up. And that has hit me really hard a couple of times in the past. I believe I've discussed it with you boys, and I don't wish it on anybody else because it was legitimately life threatening.
Yeah, that's not cool, man.
So other than that, so we recommend this movie. We recommend that you watch it
100%.
at least twice.
120%.
Get high at least once if you're gonna watch it. Go back and watch this though, because it's one of those movies like The Usual Suspects, like Fight Club, where you can go back, you can watch it repeatedly and pick out other things.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going back and picking out things that I missed. It's not all going to hit you in the face like a butt plug, but I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff. I'm waiting for, a bunch of these listicles to start coming out. It's like, 15 things you missed in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Did you know?
Yeah,
that-
right. And here's the other thing. If this came out on DVD, would you buy it if there was a director's commentary?
Do they even?
Oh, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a commentary, absolutely. The insight would be
Yes.
amazing.
Do they even have DVDs anymore?
Yes, they do.
What is a DVD anyway?
The DVDs are still available. I was just at Walmart and I actually saw this on the shelf and I thought about it, and then I was just too busy. I'm like, I'm not going to get to it. I hadn't seen it yet the last time I was at Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, I am going to look for this, and if I look on the back and it says director's commentary, I am picking that shit up. I am going to have a movie night with Sebastian, and then I will mail it to Mike.
Or we could, sure.
Or you can just go
have me in the room. Have me in the room on your computer.
You could watch it virtually through Discord or something.
Yeah,
because I can share a screen through Discord. So,
or Mike can go to Walmart.
Or that also.
I have nothing that plays DVDs. To be perfectly honest.
Same.
You don't have a PlayStation?
No, Junior's Xbox is Xbox, the Series S. It's got no drive in it.
PC gamers, bro.
Yeah, man. And my laptop has no drive either.
Jesus fuck. All right. So I'm going to look this up and we'll figure it out. So I think a director's commentary would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Even if I got to give Mike gas money and we come down here and have a triple movie night. I was about to say another word, then I went, don't say that one.
No.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've stuck around with us for an hour and 42 minutes and 14, 15, 16 seconds. So thank you very much for waiting this out. For our Mike's Music Minutes, plural, and Sebastian's Sports segment. And then we finally got into this, and it's run way over time. Thank you very much for joining us. We are going to take a brief hiatus next
Someone's
weekend.
going on vacation.
Let Mike get out of Kamloops, right? But we will be back.
Right.
Boys, we can discuss if we're going to do something a little off schedule or not once I get back. But
Sure.
Thank you for joining us at the end. Remember, we are on Apple Podcasts and YouTube as well, and we are working on a couple of other platforms. Until then, boys, anything?
Peace and love.
That's it for me.
Peace and love.
Love your kids. Love your family. Love your friends.
Be kind.
Be nice to your mother and be nice to your daughter. And
but not your father. No, just kidding. Of course, be nice to your father.
I stole the line from Mike a couple weeks ago. You want to say it?
Well, good day, how do?
There you go.
Good day, how do?